Donald Trump vowing to fight New York Attorney General Letitia James' case against him as she makes moves to seize Trump's New York properties if he doesn't secure $454 million in a bond in 2 days' time. The former president telling Fox News Digital, quote, "I'll fight this all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary. They can't take away your property before you've had a chance to appeal the decision of Trump-hating, incompetent judges who have been overturned by more than any judge in the state." So here to react, former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, Neama Rahmani. Neama, thanks for being with us this morning. What do you expect to happen come Monday? Will some of Trump's properties be the subject of a seizure?
Well, I expect Trump to find some way to post that cash or to secure an appeal bond because he has to stay enforcement of that judgment. Otherwise, his bank accounts can be levied and his property can be seized, and that's not something that he wants.
Well, if he cannot, and it doesn't look as though he can so far, although President Trump is saying this, he said this on Truth Social yesterday. He said, I currently have $500 million in cash, a substantial amount of which I intend to use in my campaign for president. The often overturned political hack judge on the rigged and corrupt AG case where I've done nothing wrong knew this and wanted to take it away from me. So he's saying he has it. His lawyers have said he doesn't have it, the money. And he's saying the judge knows he has it and it will intendedly hurt his campaign. But if he doesn't have it, there's this horrible image, Neama. I mean, we can put up the properties here of Donald Trump that could be the subject of a seizure. And I think this would have a massive impact also politically to see, New York State stormtroopers going into any one of these properties and roping them off with yellow tape.
Well, there will be political fallout, but you're right. That Truth Social post hurt his legal arguments, and this is why. I mean, his lawyers on one hand are saying that Trump doesn't have the money and is unable to liquidate his real estate assets in a down market. So they're asking for a reduction in the bond amount or a stay or a pause in enforcement of the judgment. Well, if Trump is going out saying that he has the money, but he doesn't want to deposit the money, that's a problem. And if he can't get it done by next week, then you're right. Then Letitia James will start the process of enforcing that judgment, first going into bank accounts and probably properties there in New York, but also properties out of state potentially, including Mar-a-Lago there in Florida.
I mean, if they do that, just give him the presidency. That is one of the biggest, that would be one of the biggest, I know you're here for legal analysis, so I'll just say that'd be one of the biggest political mistakes ever made, but made by people who are only interested in one thing or pursuing one thing, their Trump derangement syndrome. I have to ask you about this impact right here. Shareholders approved a merger between Truth Social, Donald Trump's social media company, and publicly traded in a shell company. And it's anticipated this could put billions in the president's, at least on his net worth and his asset sheet. How liquid would it be? How quickly liquid would it be is a separate question, meaning how could it be used to affect this bond?
Oh, well, first of all, I have to agree with you. Every time Trump loses in the courtroom, it does give his political numbers a boost. Now, obviously, the sale of Truth Social is a huge financial win for Donald Trump. But the issue is his shares aren't liquid now. And normally speaking, when it comes to corporate decisions, they're made by officers and directors. But one of the exceptions is the sale of a company or taking it public. That has to be approved by shareholders. Of course, Trump is the majority shareholder, but there is that provision that restricts him from selling or borrowing against his shares for at least 6 months. So I don't think the billions that he's going to make from this deal, that's going to be helpful for this appellate bond issue, at least not anytime soon.
As I understand it, he can seek a waiver to that holding period. You find out if that waiver is something that would be granted. But this is a crazy win for Donald Trump. All of a sudden, billions, depending on the timeline, now added to his net worth. Neama Rahmani, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.